Dear DSA students, we are so excited to be on this journey with you, and we want to say a big well done for your commitment and enthusiasm so far. Whether you have just joined or you have been learning with us over the past few weeks, we see your progress and we are rooting for you all the way. Now, we know there's been a bit of silence around the learning management system, and we sincerely apologize for that. But here's the good news. We have an update as regards the learning management system, and it is one you'll love. Some of you may have been onboarded on the previous LMS, but want to ask that you kindly disregard any previous link, platform, or communication concerning that old system. We are officially switching to a new platform that you may be familiar with, Canvas by Instructure. For those new to Canvas, don't worry. A video tutorial will be uploaded to guide you step by step on how to use the platform effectively on our YouTube channel. You will also receive an onboarding email directly from Canvas by Instructure to help you get started. Please follow the instructions in the email and input your details to begin your learning journey on the platform. We are committed to making sure your learning experience is smooth, interactive, and impactful. So please, pay close attention to the announcements coming right after this video for more details. We are so glad to have you with us. Keep going, we've got this. Dear DSA students, we are so excited to be on this journey with you, and we want to say a big well done for your commitment and enthusiasm so far. Whether you have just joined or you have been learning with us over the past few weeks, we see your progress and we are rooting for you all the way. Now, we know there's been a bit of silence around the learning management system, and we sincerely apologize for that. But here's the good news. We have an update as regards the learning management system, and it is one you'll love. Some of you may have been onboarded on the previous LMS, but want to ask that you kindly disregard any previous link, platform, or communication concerning that old system. We are officially switching to a new platform that you may be familiar with, Canvas by Instructure. For those new to Canvas, don't worry. A video tutorial will be uploaded to guide you step by step on how to use the platform effectively on our YouTube channel. You will also receive an onboarding email directly from Canvas by Instructure to help you get started. Please follow the instructions in the email and input your details to begin your learning journey on the platform. We are committed to making sure your learning experience is smooth, interactive, and impactful. So please, pay close attention to the announcements coming right after this video for more details. We are so glad to have you with us. Keep going, we've got this.
Good evening. Can anyone hear me? Good evening, the fellow data analyst or the intending fellow data analyst. Can anyone hear me? Okay, awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, okay, thank you, everyone. Yeah, I welcome everyone to today's class, the second day for data analysis class, for SQL data analysis class. Right, I welcome everyone to today's class. Right, so I will proceed to share my screen. But before I will do that, I would like to get updates. I want to know how many of you have been able to download and install Microsoft SQL Server and Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, right? There are two applications to be downloaded. You will download Microsoft SQL Server, that's SQL Server Developer, either Developer or Express 2022 edition, right? I want to know how many of you have been able to do that. And the studio, right? That's the SQL Server Management Studio, known as SSMLs, right? So I would like to know how many of you have been able to do that successfully. You've been able to connect to Studio successfully, right? And also, I also like to clarify or let you guys know that for some of you that are using MacBook, for some of you that are using MacBook, you cannot download SQL Server directly to MacBook. You cannot, right? For you to have it, the process is technical. I can't, we can't go into that. So the only thing I can advise you to do is to download other database, other relational database, right? That's the only advice I can give, right? Is to download other relational database. Right. So, during our first class, we talk about different type of relational database management system, right? We have Postgres, we have MySQL, we have Oracle DB, we have SQL Server, we have SQLite, we have Google BigQuery, right? So the SQL Server we are using for this class is what we are using for this class, right? But there are other one you can download and install on your system, PostgreSQL, MySQL as well, right? And also for those that are using MacBook, like I said earlier, you have to download PostgreSQL or MySQL. And another thing I want you guys to know that there's a difference between MySQL. If you can see my screen very well, there's a difference between MySQL and SQL Server. Please note that. There's a difference between the two. MySQL Workbench, some people refer to it as MySQL Workbench, is a relational database management system owned by Oracle, while SQL Server or Microsoft SQL Server owns by SQL Server by Microsoft, right? So, like try to get that clarification, right? And so then I've already sent. I believe that if you watch our first video, right, by now you should be able to download it. And at the same time, I also send a video to you guys. You watch the video, you can also follow the video to download, right? Follow the video and you'll be able to download it as well. Okay, so I believe by now majority of us should be able to download any of your choice of relational database, right? Okay, so without wasting most of our time, let's proceed to today's class. So, and also you guys have the materials, right? And I believe by now everybody should have been able to get these materials we are using for this class. The materials I sent out, we are using it for the duration of this class, right? So it's your handbook given to you free of charge. So everybody should have it. go over it, study it very well, right? It's very, very straightforward. I made it in such a way that you read it, you can understand it, right? So because you might not be able to go through everything, right? Because the focus is to do a bit of practical, right? So in our last class, I think we stopped at why SQL, right? Why SQL. Then today we're going to start with we're going to quickly look at the presentation or the our what I have as my presentation to look at the basic SQL command, basic SQL command, right? Then okay, before that, let's also do a recap of what is SQL, right? So that for those that are not in the class, right? So like I said, SQL stand for structured query language. SQL stand for structured query language. It's used for storing and managing relational database management system, right? It's also a standard language for relational database management system, right? It's a language just like the way we have Python, the way we have uh, JavaScript, the way we have C sharp, C++, mention all those flutters, all those programming language. So it's also the same thing. We have SQL, which is structured query language, right? So all the relational database management system like MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle DB, Microsoft Access, SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server use SQL as their standard database language, right? So for you to be able to access to your database, to access to the data in your database, you need SQL. Just like the way you need a key to access your house, your apartment, then you need understand SQL for you to manage your data, for you to query your data, for you to restore or process your data, right? So you need to understand what SQL, that language is. Now, I said SQL allow users to query the database in a several way using English-like statements, right? Using English-like statements. Then we talk about the rules that SQL follow. I said it's not case sensitive, right? And also why database. So we talk about that. Then from there, we'll proceed to what is the database, right? What is database itself? SQL is just like a language you used to access your database. But what is that database itself, right? What is that database? When I said a database is an organized collection of a data, right, that's stored and managed in a structured way, right? Just like the way you have your data in Excel. Any data you have in Excel is a structured data. Is a what? Is a structured data. It has a number of rows and columns, right? So just that the same way. If just look at the picture, look at the way your data it is in Excel. So that's the same thing, the way your data is being structured in database, right? We'll get there. Then we'll talk about advantage of database. Why do I have a database? For number one, I said for data integrity, right? For data integrity, why do I have to store my data? Why do I have to keep my data in the database? Why do I have to keep my data in the database? So I said for security purpose. Imagine you have an apartment, right? You get an apartment and you started buying some appliances, right? Some electronics, right? So you if you don't have an apartment, right, you can't buy all those things because there's nowhere you can keep it. But when you have an apartment, right, irrespective of the size of the apartment, whether a room, 2 rooms, 3 rooms, right, you can keep your appliances for one reason, for security purpose, right? Right, because imagine you buy it and just keep outside, what happened to it? So just like the way you have a data, you have your data in silos, you have in Excel, PDF, text file, JSON file, right, images. But the moment you have a database, you can now migrate your data or move your data where they are and move it to database. For what reasons? For what? For security, for integrity, right? Then we also look at the for backup and recovery, right? You back up your data, you can also recover your data. I give a typical example of a commercial bank in Nigeria where they can have their physical data, uh, physical server, their physical server in one location, and they have the backup in another what location. Why do you have to do that? Is in case that anything happened to the physical location, right? They can go back to the where they have a backup and what and restore back, right? And the business continue. Another thing we mentioned is concurrency, scalability, efficient data management, right? Then we also look at how database store data. So like I said, database store data in a structured way. So if that you can't see unstructured data or semi-structured data in the database, being cloud or being on premises, right? So some people might be wonder, okay, where do we now stop? Where would we now store the data that is not clean, like my JSON file data? JSON file data is not a structured data, right? Or data in no SQL, right? Where do we store those data, right? So there's something they call a lake house. There's something they call a lake house, right? So that lake house is where you store data that are not structured. Maybe data like your PDF, text file. In a lake house, you can also store structured data too in lake house, right? So get that. Now, we also look at why SQL, right? And we give a lot of reasons why SQL, right? We give some reasons why SQL. Like SQL is easy to understand. Traditional database allow us to access data directly. Yeah. Then traditional database allow us to audit and replicate our data. SQL is a great tool for analyzing multiple tables at once, right? Then SQL allows you to analyze more complex questions than dashboard, right? So that's where we stop in our last class. So today we're going to continue from there, look at like some pages, then we start go into our SQL Server Management Studio. Now, we look at basic SQL command, right? So when we talk about SQL command is instruction, or it's what we use to communicate with database. SQL commands are command used to communicate with the database, right? With the database. Now, I can tell the database delete, it will delete. I can tell the data in the database to truncate, and it will truncate. It will truncate. I can tell the data in the database to update. I can update. Okay, imagine you open an account, right? Let's take women now, for instance. Maybe you open an account when you were still single, right? And at the end of the day, you married, and you want to change your father's name to your husband's name, right? Your father's name to your husband's name, right? You have your wedding certificate, you have every document you need. Then you approach the bank. Oh, I used to bear Emmanuel as my father's name. Now I'm married. My husband's name is Abubakar, right? So the bank look at documents you shared, submitted and everything, and they updated. So it's going to take 7 working days before it can reflect, and at the end of the day, your name changed, right? So what happened at the back end? So they go to the customer database. By the time they upload those documents you submitted is just to authenticate that you actually changing the name, or just to back up the processes of changing that name. But at the back end, at the customer database, they are going to write a query that will automatically change your name, change that your last name, change it to your new name, right? So that's what the database, that's why you tell the database update. Then what about create, so all this, or grant, revoke. Let's look at that grant and revoke, right? I'm a database administrator and I have Oluwaseun Adekunle as a data analyst. So we work together. I'm the database, I'm the one managing the database. Then Oluwaseun Adekunle is just a data analyst, pulling data from the database and to Power BI or Tableau to build a report. Now, peradventure, I will be going on a leave, right? So pending that time, I don't want anybody to disturb me to ask for a data, right? So I can give Adekunle, I can grant Adekunle access to the database when I'm away, right? So that's what that grant, granting him access. But when I come back, what happened to, okay, I've come back, I want to take the full ownership of the database. I will now revoke that access I've given to, or that access I've granted him, I revoke. So that's that grant and what and revoke. Then commit and rollback. You made the changes to the transaction, right? You commit it and you save it. Then you can also roll back those changes. Yeah. Then select. Also, select this from this, or select this from customer. So these are the SQL commands you use to communicate with the database, right? So you can see all these things in the material. So there are 5 types of them. We have DDL, DML, DCL, TCL, DQL, right? So, and if you use from the diagram you have on the notes, you will see the way I broke them, then put each of the example for it. Then like a DDL, that's a create, alter, drop, truncate, right? Then like our DML is that insert, update, delete, merge, and so on like that, right? Now, so if you go to the page from one page to another page, and I broke it down for you, like DDL. What is DDL? So when you use the word create, drop, alter, truncate, what does actually, these are the English words that you speak on a daily basis. So imagine the English language that you speak on a daily basis. Now you want to put it into a programming, So you understand now. I want to put into a programming. If someone say, I've dropped it. When you drop something, right? You can be picking beans. You pick one, you drop it. You pick one, you drop it. When you are picking it, the number is what is reducing. Then when you are dropping it, it means it's no longer part of the where you are picking it, right? So something has left. So you drop it. So if you look at the materials, I might not be able to go through it very detail to detail, but I will appreciate every one of you guys to go through that materials, right? So DDL is just what changing the structure of a table, like creating a table, deleting a table, then altering a table, right? Now, DML, that's data manipulation. DML, that's data manipulation language. What does that do? DML commands are used to modify the database, right? So it's responsible for all form of changes in the database. So all form of changes in your database, what the data manipulation do for you. Like insert, you've created a table, then you can insert values into the table, right? So like you can update the table, then you can also delete the table, right? You can delete. Now then DCL, that's data control language. So that's where we're talking about grant and revoke, right? So command are used to grant and take back authority from any database users, So I grant you access and I revoke the access. All right. Then transaction control language, right? So this is just part of advanced SQL, right? So this all are commands are used to manage transaction in database, right? So they are used to manage data. They used to manage the changes made to DML statement like insert, delete, and update. So if you look at the example, say commit command is used to permanently save any transactions permanently. So when you use the word commit, you permanently change it. Then what about the rollback? The rollback is also used to restore the database to a last committed state, right? So then that's another point there, which they call it save point. So that save point is used to roll the transaction back to a certain point without rolling back the entire transaction. Maybe you want to roll certain parts, or let's say a one customer, you want to roll a one customer back, right? Then you use the save point, right? Now let's look at this part is also very, very important that we're talking about the data type. It is very, very important. And I will appreciate if every one of us pay attention and will listen to what a data type is, right? So a data type is used to define the values that a column can contain. It is used to define the value that a column can contain. Column contain things like customer's name, or let's say customer first name, customer second name, a customer date of birth, customer ID, right? Customer address, customer email address. Now, when you look, these are the different information per column. So, for instance, you have a table, right? The table contains customers' information, starting from customer ID. So the first thing is customer ID. So, in this scenario, customer ID can be customer account. They can be customer account number, right? Customer account number can be used as a customer ID in this scenario. So let's say, for instance, customer account number is what they use as a customer ID. Now, so for that particular column, the value that is in that column must contain the same data type. Now, if I say customer ID, I can use integer as a data type because it's a number. It's a number. Customer account number is a number, right? So I can use integer as a data type. What if that customer, okay, when you were in school, when you were in university, polytechnic, your matric number, that's some school, the matric number would be number, all number. Some school, the matric number would be alphanumeric, that is contain number and text, right? So in that scenario, your matric ID is your unique identifier in that school. So if anything happens, right? So they use your unique that's your matric number to look for you, right? So you can see that it contains both number and text. So that data type should be variable, it should be character, should be text, right? It shouldn't be integer. It can't be integer because it doesn't contain only number, but it contains both number and text. So your data type can be text, or in SQL, it can be called a variable character. Variable character, right? What about your name? Name should be text throughout, right? Should be words throughout. So these are variable character and character, right? What about the second name? What about phone number? Phone number too should also be a text, right? So, but there's some situation you can use integer for your phone number, right? Then what about date of birth? That one is very simple now. Date of birth, automatically the data type should be date. What about transaction date? That should be, you can now use either date time or only date. That is, you want to see the date That's the date and the time that it happened. So your data type can be date time, right? Can be date time, and so on. So we have a string data type, we have a numeric data type, and we have a date data type, right? Now, another thing that is very important to talk about is key. So when we talk about this key, we go into a practical, right? Now, I believe some of you have gone through the materials. From what I can see here, a lot of you have gone through the materials. That's fine. Now, if you look at what is on the screen, let's talk about key, right? And I think from our last class, I've been talking about primary key, and foreign key. I think I linked that one very well. Primary key, foreign key, right? If you look at this diagram, these are the kind of key you can see in your database or your data warehouse. You can see primary key, foreign key, database key, surrogate key, alternate key, composite key, candidate key, super key. These are different, but out of all this, the one you need mostly is primary key, your foreign key, and peradventure maybe the database. I think the is foreign key, then one of them rather, right? Now, so what is key? Now, keys are special fields in a table that help you to create relationship between table, number one, maintain uniqueness, number two, ensure data is consistent and what? And valid. Now, for you to understand what key is, let's go back to the example I gave in our last class, which I've also gave today, right? Like I said a customer. Now, let's say for instance, I work in an organization. My name is Femi Ayodele. I work in accounting department. Then there's another Femi Ayodele that work in IT department. Now, we have two people bearing the same name, but they work in different departments. So automatically, maybe someone joined 3 years ago, and another person joined 7 years ago, but we both have our staff ID. If I'm leaving that company today, if I'm going to leave the company today, and they want to delete my record from the database, by the time they write their SQL query, they have to reference my staff ID to delete it. Because if they don't reference, if they reference name, say where name is equals to Femi, automatically they are going to destroy their database. So they have to. So that's the reason why primary key is very, very important. Another reason is to create a relationship between tables. Let's say, for example, you have a table, right? Customer table. The customer table contains customer ID, then order ID. Then there's another table that contains order table. But that order table, there's a customer ID in that order table. Remember, you have two tables, right? Customer table, but that customer table, there's a column called customer ID. Then there's another second table called order ID. There's another column there to customer ID. So it means in both tables, you have a customer ID in both tables. The first table is a customer. That primary key, that customer ID in customer table is what they refer to as primary key there. Now, in the order table now, you have a customer ID. So customer ID now become a foreign key in the second table. That's just the best way I can explain it to you to understand what foreign key is. Right now, if you want to create a relationship between the two tables, if you want to know the customer that order, so you have to join the number of customers that order, you have to join the two tables together, right? Then if you are joining the two tables together, you have to use what they call customer ID to join the two tables together. So that's what said it helps you to create relationship between tables. We will definitely get there, right? Okay, so let's look at them. And so I said primary key is a special key that uniquely identify each record in a table. You can see it. It's only for you. You cannot see. I don't know. When you were in university, you can't see two people using the same matric number. If paraventure, you have two students using the same matric number, it means one of them is carrying fake admission. Yeah, is carrying fake admission. Then each table can only have one primary key. You can see each table. You can have the many ID there, but it can only have one primary key. Right. Thank you. Then another thing there, foreign key. So I said a field in one table. Now look at it now. A field in one table that uniquely identify a row of another table, creating relationship between the two tables. So you can see. So it becomes foreign key. Now, for instance, the employee ID in the salary table is a foreign key that reference employee ID in the what? Employee table. Then surrogate key is a unique identifier for each record in a table typically created by database. Okay, this one is also important for us to note that this one is automatically, you don't need to create this one. This one is automatically created by the database. Right, then we have a composite. Go through all of them. So this is the diagram, right, that explain each of those primary key, those key. Right, I've been close here. Right, this is also important. We talk about this, right? And okay, so what we're going to do now, let's go to practical. By the time we'll get to this place, we'll come back and explain this so that you don't forget what I've explained, right? Let's go back to, now I'm going to connect my database, right? Now, you need to click on you can, if you have not pinned your own, right? If you have not pinned it like this to your, is it tax bar or what? You can search for it. You can just type SSMS, right? Once I type SSMS, it's going to come out with this SQL Server Management Studio. You will see something like this or like this. So just click open. So once you click open, okay, so definitely you're going to see something like this. For those of you that have been able to connect, automatically your server name will show like this. Your server name will show like this. Then click connect. You click connect, right? So you click connect. So once you click connect, you should have a page that look like this. You should have a page that look like this, right? So how many of you are on the same page with me? How many of you are on the same page with like me? So I'm going to increase my size. Just let's connect first. I'm going to, right, I will do that, right? I will zoom it, right? Because we are using an application. So let's connect. So how many of you have been able to connect? Okay, yes, okay, thank you. Okay, now, once you on the same page with me like this, you're going to see all these functions here, right? All the functions, you're going to see databases, you're going to see security, server objects, replication, always on high availability, management. You're going to see integration service catalog, SQL server agent, and X event provider, right? You're going to see all these things, right? It's not everything here I'm going to explain now because some of them are more advanced. Like I said, it's a database, right? So it's basically that part is just for, you are just a data analyst for now, right? So there are parts that we don't need, we are going to touch them. We will not touch them. Now, if it comes to this place, database. There is a plus beside it. Click on the plus to expand. Right? I've clicked on this plus, I expand. Right? Now, the next thing you're going to see system databases. System databases, then database snapshot. So you're going to see that. Now, on my own, you see these 4 databases I've created, right? It's because I've been using my own, right? But yours, you will not see anything. It is going to be purely new, right? You will not see anything, but here you see financial DB, okay, because my own I've already created some. So now, then from there, you can also expand the system database. Now, once you expand the system database, so you're going to see master. So you're going to see master. So under the masters, you have some databases. These are the system databases, right? These are the system databases like MasterDB, ModelDB, MSDB, TempDB, right? So these are the system database. Then I'm going to explain one out of the 4 databases for now, right? And that's the MasterDB. This MasterDB, it's a master. So you can imagine why it's a master DB, right? You can imagine why it's a master DB. One is because if I create a table now, if I create a table and I don't reference that table to a particular database, so it automatically goes to the master DB. It automatically goes to what? To a master DB, right? Sorry, I don't know if I can zoom this thing. Sorry for that. Right? Right. So, like I said, if I create a database, if I create a table rather, and I don't reference the database, the database, it goes to the master DB, right? So be assured that if I create a table now, oh, I can't see my table, I can't see it. Your table house, go and check your master DB. That's where you will see your database, right? Now let's take it a little bit so that I don't get you guys confused now, right? Some of you said you cannot see my screen, right? I'm going to right now you should be able to see. I'm going to increase it now to 200, right? So if I type anything now, you should be able to see it very well, right? Or 200, should I make it 400? Oh no, 400 is too much. Let me make it 200, right? I think it's better now. I think it's better now. Now, let's start. Right. For those of you that are not using SQL Server, if you are not using SQL Server, you are using my SQL Workbench. Let me show you something. I want to open it on my system. I have both. So this is my SQL Workbench. If you are using this one, right, connect. So ask if I still remember my password. I can't remember. It's been long I used this. Okay, I might not be able to, I can't remember my password for now. Let me try it again. Okay, so this is my SQL. I can't remember my password. Then I can also show you Postgres. This is Postgres. For those of you that are using Postgres, right? So that's, like I said, you can use any of the three, any of these three. That I recommended these three for now: Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, or Postgres. You can use any of the three, right? You can use any of the three for now. So for instance, now if I want to create a database using pgadmin, so we call it pgadmin, right? The studio is what they call pgadmin, right? If I want to create my database here now, I will just come to this place. I will say create database. I can call the database dsa underscore db, right? Then I create. This is for those people that are using Postgres, right? So this is my database. I can refresh it. Now, then inside this place now, I want to create, I can just click on the query, right? Then, so here now, I will make sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm referencing my database. This is my database here. Please, if you are using Postgres, please pay attention to this. If you are using Postgres, please pay attention. Right, so this is my database now, right? I've created it. So the difference between SQL Server, Postgres is that in Postgres, you need to create your schema. And I think I've not explained what schema is, right? I've not explained it, but I'll come back to explain what schema is. So I need to create my schema first. Create schema, right? And I can call the schema FM, right? Create my schema, right? That is done, right? I can now, the next thing I need to do is now to create my table, right? So, and so on. From here now, you can follow me. Create your database, create your schema, or if you don't create a schema, you can leave it. You can leave the schema, but automatically your database goes to the public, right? Goes to public. So if you don't create it, if it comes to, this is where you will now see under the DSA database you created, right? Just go to schema. Then under schema, you're going to see public. So whatever you are, all your table will be under public, right? Yeah. So that's for those using Postgres. But it's unfortunate that I can't remember my workbench, right? So let's go back to Studio. Now, I talk about schema now, right? What schema is, right? Schema is what we refer to as database owner, right? Database, they call it in a SQL Server, we refer to it as a DBO, right? Database owner, right? That's DBO. So what it means is that it's a way of uniquely owns the database. Now, if I create a database and I use my name as a schema, it means that database belongs to that name, right? It belongs to that name. That is what that DB, that's what that schema is, right? So the name of that schema owns the database. Owns what? The database. For instance, now if I create a table now, you're going to you see what it means, right? What it means, right? If I create one, right? Now, please. Okay, someone is asking, how do we get that place? In a SQL Server, right? You will see new query. You will see new query. Click on, let me cancel this. So automatically, your interface, right, it looks like this. When you have a blue background or background like this, it means you've not done anything, right? So you go to new query. I'm going to see a new query. Click on the new query. So the background changed to white, right? The background changed to white. You see new query. So if you go from file, edit, view query, project, choose window, then under the ribbon, right, you see new query. Now, let's create our database, right? Everything I explained, let's put it into practical. So that I don't just want to be talking. Let's put it into practical, right? The first thing we need to do is to create a database. When you want to set up a database, the first thing you need to do is to create that database. So you remember when I was talking about SQL command, right? When I was talking about SQL command, I mentioned something called create, right? Create something. Now, before you can do anything, you have to create your database, right? So database is just like a father. The father give birth to children. So you can have a single database, but now you can also have a multiple tables under a single database. You can have as many, right? Please listen to me. Some people say it's now technical. Yes, it will be a little bit technical, but just be following up the way I'm just explaining it, right? Just put your mind together. The first thing you need to do is to create a database. So just like a father, then children's. So when you create a database, and I said a single database can now have many tables. Let's say for instance, let's use bank. You can have a single database for bank, right? You can call it DSA Bank. That's the name of the database. Now, under the DSA Bank, you can now have a table for each department in the bank. You can have a table, you can have one or two tables for customer service, right? You can call the table customer table. You can have a table for HR. That HR table contains employee information, right? You can have a table for POS. That's contain POS transaction. You can have a table for ATM. That table contain ATM transactions, right? You can have a table for SME, retail, corporate banking, and so on like that, under a single database called DSA Bank, right? Under a table called DSA Bank. I think you are together now. So you can also have many databases, right? So it doesn't mean, but now for this class, we're going to write one database, then we can have many tables under it. So the first thing we're going to do now is to create a database. So I'm going to say create. Like I said, it can be in small letter. It can also be in capital letter. I believe my screen is zoomed out now. At least you can see what I'm typing. I want to believe like everybody can see what I'm typing. Right? So create database. Right? Now the database name is what? DSA. DSA. Right? Let's make it capital letter. DSA. I can decide to just put, if I say DSA DB like this, it's going to throw me an error. Right? So, or it's going to throw an error. So, but it's either I put them together like this, or I put underscore. Depend. If I leave it, if I leave it closed, it is fine. If I leave it open, it's going to throw an error, right? So what you can do when you want to create your own is either you leave it closed or you just put underscore, right? So that's the database. The name of the database we want to create is what? It's DSA. Remember I talked about SQL command. So any SQL command, when you type them, it's going to be in colors, either blue or red. Blue or red. These are the SQL syntax. SQL syntax, when you type them, it change the color change. If you have used Python before, right? I think in Python too, if you type some Python syntax, the color change, right? Like create now is blue, database is blue. These are the SQL syntax, right? But DSA is not, is SQL. You can see it is black the way it is, right? You pay attention to. Someone is asking us, we include DB. It's not necessary we include DB. It's just because me, I'm used to it. I don't know. You can remove it because I'm used to it. Even when I'm setting up a database for a customer, I put it. It's not necessary, right? You can remove it. Someone said Ivan. If you type it, if it doesn't give you error, it's fine. But you can see it's already giving me error, right? It's giving me error. You can see a red. If you have seen, you can see a red. It means it has error there already. So Ivan is not acceptable. It's underscore, right? If you want to actually want to put it, right? Someone said must be DB beyond the DSA, right? So like I said, you can remove the DB, right? But let's name it our database DSA. You can remove it, right? So like I am used to putting it. So a lot of people are saying they are lost, right? And we've not done anything, so you can't be lost, right? We are just want to create the database. That's the only thing we are doing. We just want to create. Like I said, the first thing you need to do is to create database, and that's what we are doing. The error is a red sign. Yes, the error is going to give you automatically red sign. So now, once it doesn't give you error, you can execute, right? You can execute. So if I execute now, you see a button under new query. You click on it to execute. Like when I executed, it said command completed successfully, right? Completion. Command completed successfully. There you can see it means no problem. It's fine. Now, how do I know if my database has been created? For those of you that is following up, right? Someone said the number is showing error. Which number is showing error? So how do you execute? Like I said, there is execute button. Look at those. There is execute button, right? There's execute button here. If you see my screen, this is what it does. Execute button, right? But for those of you that are using Postgres, it's a symbol you will see. For those of you that are using Postgres, let me look at it. Let's go back to this place. So you're going to see something like this. There's a button there called execute script. For those of you that are using it, execute script, right? The same thing MySQL too. But in a SQL Server, you're going to see execute success, right? Successful. My command, right? So someone is still asking, David Johnson, how do we execute? I've explained that there is a execute button there. Just click on it. Just click on it. Just click on it. All right. Now, how do we know that the database has been created? So you can go to your database, right? Go to the database, right click on it and refresh. Go to the databases button. Databases button. Databases button. Right click on it and refresh. So you will see your DSA underscore DB. That's if you put underscore DB. But if you don't put underscore DB, you're going to see only DSA. Someone said, is it compulsory to number it? Like my own is showing number. It is compulsory. If your own is not number, I'm going to show you how to enable it. It is good because it helps you a lot. It is good to number it. No. In SQL Server, you have to enable it. So for those of you that is yours is not showing number, like my own now is showing number. You can see my own is showing number. It can show me to, right? You can see my number. You can see this one, right? So how to enable it is good to have this number. It is very, very important. You will know the reason why when we started getting error. When you write a query and it return an error for you, you will know the importance of that number. Now, so I'm going to show you how to enable the number. Go to tools, right? At the top, right, from the left corner side, you will see file, edit, view, query, project, and tool. You're going to see tools. When you see the tools, right, when you see the tools, click on it. When you click on it, you will see options. The next thing you will see, scroll down or navigate to option. Right? If your own is not showing number, that's the reason why want to show you how you can enable your number. How you can enable your number, right? So click on the option. Once you click on the option, another page pop up, right? Another page pop up on your screen, right? You're going to see another page like this, right? Now, you go to text editor. Go to text editor. Navigate to text editor. Text editor. Navigate to text editor. Right? When you get to the next editor, also navigate to transact SQL. Click on transact SQL. Right? Just click on it. Once you click on it, look at your right side. You're going to see statement completion, all those information there. Look for line number. Look for line number. If you see now, my own is enabled already. Line numbers. My own is enabled already. Mine is enabled already. So you just click on it inside the box beside. Click inside the box to enable it. Right? So once it's that, right, line number, once you click on it, then click OK. Click OK. So automatically it's going to number it for you. So anytime you are writing your query, it's going to number it for you. Someone is saying, I can't find other text editor. It is there. From tools to option, go to tools, go to option, text editor, right? Text editor. Then from text editor, go to transact. Text editor, you have to open it. It's like a close. You see the arrow there. Click on it to open it down. It's going to open some how should I put it for you? Then part of the option, let's say drop down, right? So part of the drop down, you see transact SQL. Click on that transact SQL, then comes to your right hand side. You see some information here. Look for line number. Once you click on that line number, click on it to check it, right? Then once that is done, then click OK. It is numbered, right? So we're going to go for break. When we come back, we'll continue, right? Thank you, everyone. So you can mark your attendance now so that when we come back, we don't use that attendance to disrupt the class. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Can anyone hear me? Okay. Welcome back. So before we continue, right? So I'm going to repeat that what we did before we went on break, right? How to enable your line number in your studio, right? So like I said, you go to tools, options, then scroll down to text editor, navigate to transact SQL, then you're going to see line number. Mine is enabled already. If yours is not enabled, right, just enable it and then click OK. Right, so that is done and fine. You click OK. Now, we've been able to create the database, right, successfully. Database has been created. Now, how do I differentiate between database and table, right? If you have created your own, it's either you use DSA underscore DB or DSA DB together or just DSA. You are fine, right? It's not a must you use DSA underscore DB like mine or DSA DB together. And if you use it, yeah, you are also good, right? So you see that database has been created. That's the first thing. Now, what is the next thing for us to do? We've created a database for DSA, right? That's Digital Skill Up Africa. Now we want to create table. So like I said, under database, you can have as many tables, right? You can have as many table. Now let's start creating table now. Now, if you look at your studio very well, there is this part here in your own that is showing masters. This part here that is showing master, right? If I create a table, that table will automatically goes to the master, right? You go to master DB. You know, I mentioned it when I was explaining master DB, what it does, right? It's what it does. That the only thing I can explain to you as regard that now is just like when you create a table and your table does not reference your database, then it goes to the table, right? Goes to the master DB. So what you need to do in order to avoid that is to make sure you change this one to DSA. If you click on the drop down on your hand, you're going to see all the system database, master DB, model, MSDB, and TempDB, right? Then you also see the database you created. So make sure you enable or you click on the database you created, right? So that whatever we are doing, we are referencing the database we created. Someone say mine is not showing masters. I only have a database. But if you can see the database you created, it is fine. You can just go ahead. If you can see the database you created, it is fine. You can just go and just go ahead, right? Now, the next thing we want to do is to create table. That's the next thing we want to do is to create table, right? Now, we want to create a table. We still follow the SQL command and explain to you. Please, if you understand the SQL command, you will not have any challenges creating your SQL query. Please, as you still need to go back again and read that SQL command, what each of them stand for. You can see now, out of like more than 10 SQL command I mentioned, we are still using only one, which is create, right? Which is what? Create. Now, another thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to create table. You see it? Create table, right? Now, the table, what will be the name of the table? So let's call it employee. Someone has already said it, employee, right? Let's say the staff of DSA, the staff of DSA. So create table. So let's call the table name employee. Like I said, SQL syntax are colored blue, right? They are what? They are colored. The SQL commands, they are blue, right? Now, let's call it, so we're going to call the table name employee. Then the next thing you need to do, bracket open and close, or you can just say bracket open first. Bracket open, right? Then you can press hit enter to go to the next line. Press enter to go to the next line. Now, the employee, so based on what our customer DSA wanted, so DSA has given us this contract now to set up a database for all the staff of DSA, right? People that are working with Digital Skill Africa. So they asked us to set up a database for them. So what they want us, so in the employee table, they want to see things around staff ID, staff ID, staff ID. Now, the staff ID, based on what they said, they told us the staff ID is going to contain number and text. Right? That's what they said. That it's going to contain number and also text. That's alphanumeric, right? I think that's the meaning. Contain text and number. So that's what it means, right? So instead of that, for the staff ID, we are not going to use integer as our data type. We are going to use variable character. Right? So this is the data type now. So when I say variable character, you're not going to type it like, say, variable, right? And you now type character like this. No. So they call it varchar, right? Varchar. So that's the data type. So this works when you are using both. We are using, let's say, text generally. We are using text. Either the text, whether the value contain both numeric and number. So you can also use when you are using text generally, right? Now, so that's the staff ID, and also they want it to. So that's now. Now I want to do something. When you use variable character, it's also important you how should I explain now? It's also important that you create the length of the numbers. So I want it to be just 10. So I going to put 10 there, right? Right, 10. So the number, the staff ID shouldn't be more than 10. That's what this means. Shouldn't be what? Shouldn't be more than 10. Right? Then I press comma, and I go to the next one. It said first name. Now, look at the way I'm typing my first name. Right? Look at the way I type my first name. Now, so you can also, there are different ways you can type your first name. You can put underscore like this, right? Then you can write it together. But if you put space, it's going to throw you an error. If you just put space like this, because both first and name, they are all SQL syntax. So automatically you can get an error like this, right? You can get error. Now, but I'll still tell you something you can do when you want to leave it open like this. You don't want to put anything inside. Okay, if you don't want to put anything inside, then it means you have to put square bracket like this. So you have to put it in a square bracket. So that is in case you don't want to, put, don't want to close the space between or put underscore, right? So please note that, right? So I'm going to close the space. I'm going to leave it like this, first name. You can use underscore. You can use underscore. Bumi Gabriel. Bumi Gabriel is asking a question that is it possible to import data from Excel worksheet to the SQL table? It is possible, but I don't want you to be too fast. Let's pay attention to what I'm doing now, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of people now say, if I can import database, why do I have to do all these things? Yes, we're still going to where we can import data, right? So imagine you have a millions of data in Excel, right? Do you have to type it like this? No. But you need to create your table. You need to create your table. So that's the first thing we are doing now. Okay. So first name, then what's the data type? Should be variable character. The same thing like I said, varchar. Now the first name, I want to put the length, right? So it shouldn't be more than, let's say I'm going to put 100 there. Let's say 100. I've never seen a name that is more than. I'm going to put 100, then comma, then last name, right? Then the same thing as this, right? Then into brackets 100 as well, comma. So what is the next thing they want us to put there is gender, right? Gender. Is gender. So the next thing is gender. So gender will be male or female, right? So it's still going to be character. This time I can just say end character or end variable character. It's still the same thing. The gender of female. So let's just say 10. Let's say 10, right? Now, what is the next thing? Date of birth. Date of birth, right? Now, what will be the data type for date of birth? Data type for date of birth will be date. I have told you, will be date, right? You can also do date time, right? Maybe you want to get the time the staff was giving birth to, but it's not possible. You can't get that time. So let's leave it as date, right? The next thing is when was he or she hired? So you're going to put hire date, right? Now, then it's also be date as well. Then the next thing they want to see there, okay, so they said that's the only thing they want to see, right? That's the only thing they want to see. Create table. Now we've created the table. Now let's set up. We want to make a staff ID as our primary key. We want to make staff ID as our what? As our primary key, right? Now, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'll come here, I'll say primary key. Then our primary key is what? Our primary key is what? Staff ID, right? Then we'll close the bracket. Once you do that, now remember you open a bracket here, then it means you have to close the bracket here too, right? Right. So when that is done, then you execute. Now this time around, you don't just execute, right? Because I've already have a lines of query there. So I need to highlight from where I want to execute. So I want it to from line 4 to line 12. I need to highlight it like this. So once it is highlighted, Then I click execute. So I got message that says command completed successfully. I would like to know how many people able to do that successfully too, right? How many people, right? How many people I did, okay? Agile, done, okay. Adebisi Odo, what done, what, okay, right? Fine, okay. Right, successful, okay. Okay, that's fine. So you've been able to create your table successfully, right? Now, how do I know if my table is created successfully? How do I know? Okay, someone said error message. This level 16 line database already line there is already an object name employee. Then it means you've created it now. That's what this Ade Olukayode, that error message means that you've created it before. So that's what that error message means. So check your own. Someone is asking if you don't put semicolon. Yeah, in SQL Server, you don't need to put that semicolon, right? You don't need to put it. But in a database like MySQL, it is compulsory. So if you are using MySQL, it is a must. You must put that semicolon. But in the SQL Server, it is not a must. Are you getting me? It is not a must. You put it. It is not a must, right? Okay. Someone is saying why mVarchar is gender. mVarchar and variable and varchar is still the same. I just want to show you another type. It's another type too, right? That's another type too. It's so that I don't. So that I'm not just using I'm not just using variable character. There are also that type of data type too, right? MSH level 15 line 6 incorrect syntax near date. So check your if you say incorrect, so you can check your line 15, okay, line 4. You will see where the error is. You will see where the error is. So it's either you didn't put comma there, right? Now, so I want to know if my database is created. So I'll go to DSA, then there's a plus beside the DSA. Click on it, or try to expand it, then go to the table, right? Once you expand the table, you will see your employee. You will see it has been created. I want to know how many people have checked. We'll be able to check that if you are able to get it successfully, then you will see it. You will see your table. Now, the next thing I want to do, I want to use another SQL command called select. I want to use this. It's also part of SQL command called select. So what that select does is it helps you to query your database to see the number of queries, the number of records you have in your table. But here now, our table is going to be empty. Our table is going to be empty because we have not inserted, right? So I will say select all from what's our table's name? Employee, right? Table scene, okay? So now I'm going to run line 14 to see my table. So if I execute, you can see that my table have been created, but it's just what is still empty. My table has been created, but just like it's still what is still empty, right? My table is error. My error is table. I don't understand your error. It depend on this Janet, depend on the error you have, right? If you are at the point of trying to create the table and you get error message, it means your table is not created. Then check your lines of code, right? the error will be there. Check your line of code. So this one is saying mine is showing incorrect syntax near date of birth. Check your date of birth too. Look at, if you can see my screen, look at what I did. My date of birth, I put them, I use underscore to separate them. On your part, you can also put them together depending on what you want to do, right? And the data type I use is also date, right? It's also date. So depend on error. Someone say I'm using Postgres and it is showing error type and varchar does not exist. So it changes to variable character. This Gamuk, is it? I'm sorry about your name, but you can say it's using Postgres and it gets error message. You can change it to variable character, right? Change it to a variable character and then execute again. A lot of people are getting error from date of birth. It means okay. Someone is saying why was a dash before written table? That which dash? Said if you are talking about this one, it's just the way of commenting in your this thing, in your query, right? That's just the way. It doesn't have, it's not necessary you do it, but it helped me to understand my query, right? It helps me. It is good to do that also. It helps you to understand your query. Someone is saying, how do we see our table? I've told you, go to your database, DSA that you created, right click on it and refresh. Then expand it. You're going to see a database diagram. You're going to see table, view, right? On that table, click on it. Then you will see your database. You see DBO.employee. The other time I was explaining schema. So the schema here, our schema here is what? DBO dot. That DBO is our schema, which we can change it. So imagine that I'm creating this table for employee department or HR department rather. So I can change my schema to HR. I can just say HR. So my schema, so I will know that whenever I open the table, let's say for instance, we have employee table for HR department, employee table for customer department. So how do I differentiate? So I can use HR as a schema for employee table, one for HR. I can now use maybe CUS as a schema for the employee table in customer, right? So these are the things that you can, it's like, it's not this face, yeah, right? Now, the next thing we want to do is to insert. Now, we're picking another SQL insert. For this insert, I'm going to copy and paste because it's a lot. Insert, that's the next thing I want to do. Higher date doesn't have a comma. Yes, the last query before the primary key, you don't need to put comma. So it won't have comma. Yes, thank you. So that select, remember I explained select under SQL command for you. I explained select. What select does us is what? It helps you to get number of record in your table. The meaning of asterisk means all, right? You know, you cannot type. So I want to see everything, all the record. So if I say select all, right? So in a SQL, you don't use that all, you use asterisk. So asterisk means all, everything. That's what that asterisk means, right? Now the next thing I want to do is to insert. Like I said, insert. I'm going to copy it, right, and paste it because it's a lot. I can't type it now, right? So let me bring it. Okay, so I want to insert into employee table, right? So I might need to reduce this a little bit to 100. 150. Okay. Aha. Right. Now, I'm going to explain this to you. Right. Now, the next thing we want to do is to insert into employee. That's the next thing we want to do. Insert into employee. You know, we've used create, we've used select. Right now, we want to use insert. And you know, these are the, like I said, it's English. When you understand what insert means, it's what we want to do in this place now. The table has been created now. We want to insert value into the table. We want to insert value into the table. That's what we want to do, right? Right now, so before you can, so for you to insert into the value, so this is how it works. Insert into the value, then the table name, right? The column name, rather, the column name. You know, if you check when we created, we have staff ID, first name, last name, gender, date of birth, higher date, and that same thing you can see here. Staff ID, right? That's the first thing. Then first name, then last name, gender, date of birth, and higher date, right? Now, the next thing is what? You type value. So what that value does here is it help you to, for you to be able to execute or write the value you want to insert into the table, right? So the values are the values you want to insert into the table. That's what the values stand for. The values are the values you want to insert into the table. So the first line 18 is basically the column header, like staff ID, first name, last name, gender, date of birth, and higher date. Then the values are for the staff ID. This is the one they gave to us. This is the name of the staff, right? Then this is the last name of the staff, right? Then the gender, the staff is what? Female. The date of birth is 1992 and the higher date is 2018. Right? Now, look at this person, Oluwaseyi Funmi Onyiloye. Your error message is very simple. I told you guys, right? Anytime I want to execute anything, you have to highlight it. Now, if I didn't highlight anything here now, I will execute. I'm going to get error message. This is the error message you are getting, right? Database did already exist. Choose a different database. It's because the first line of query here has been executed successfully. So if I'm trying to execute again, the database will see it as this has been created. So it means I have to highlight whatever the lines of the query I want to execute. So I need to highlight it. So that's exactly what is happening here. Now, if I want to execute this now, I will not just go and execute, right? Rather, I have to highlight it before I execute. I have to highlight before I execute. So if you are lost, please kindly find yourself, right? So that okay. So now, okay, the table I pasted, right? I will send it, right? I will send it. I think we just pay attention. I will send it, right? Because it's a lot. It's not something I can type now. That's why I just have to paste it. But the first thing is I just need you to understand it, right? Okay. Now, if I execute this, right, is it 9 rows affected? So successfully. Now, if I go back to the line 14, so you're going to see select all from employee. Now, if I execute this, you will see my table has been created. So you can see that I have values already. So this is my table. This is structured data. This is data that has a staff ID, first name, last name, gender, date of birth, and hire date. Okay. How do we get data? How do we get the data we have to insert? I type it like I said. But the reason why I just copy and paste is because it's a lot, right? It's a lot. But you can just write, okay, you know that let's do one thing because it's something that you can actually do, right? Let's say insert into table, right? That's what's our table's name, employee, right? Employee, right? Please pay attention. For some of you that are asking, I should send it. I'm going to send it, but pay attention. I'm going to do like up to 3. Then we insert it, right? Now, insert into. So the next thing what is to open a bracket. Open a bracket, right? What is the first thing? The first thing there is the staff ID. Staff ID, that's the first thing, comma. Then followed by first name, right? Then followed by last name, right? Then followed by what? Gender, right? Followed by date of birth, then followed by hire date. Make sure you put comma. Each of them be put comma, right? Then the last one there is hire date, right? Then I close the bracket. So that's the first thing you're going to do. That's the first thing you're going to do. Insert into employee. That's the table name. Now, the next line is what? Value. Right? Value. So what is the value? Like I said, the values are the value you want to insert into your table. So I'll open another bracket. Right? Open another bracket. Now, the first thing there is the staff ID. The staff ID, the data type of the staff ID is a variable character. So it has to be in a quotation. You don't call it quotation mark, right? It has to be in a quotation. So I press my quotation first. Right? Now, AB. So let's say this person is 299. That's the staff ID of the person, right? Then comma. The next one there is first name, right? First name, if you check the data type of the first name, it's also a variable character, right? It's also what? A variable character. So I'm going to put my quotation. It's a single quotation, not double quotation, please. Right? So the first name is what? Femi, right? Then comma. What is the last name? The next one is a last name, right? The last name is Hayodele, right? Then comma. What is the next? Gender, right? Right? Quotation. The gender is what? Male. Male, comma. The date of birth. Date of birth too. If you check our date of birth, it's a date, but you reference the date by putting it into quotation as well, right? The date of birth is 1990 let's say September 10, 10. That's the date, right? Now, in a SQL server, okay, when we we started importing data, I'm going to explain the date format in SQL. I'm going to explain it. Now, what is the next thing? The next thing is what? Hire date, right? The hire date, so let's say the person was hired in 2022, right? 20, so the year or the year having, let's say 1st of January, let's say January 20. So when that is done, you close the bracket. You close the bracket, right? Now I can repeat the same thing I did here. I can just copy it and paste, right? So, but me, I have to put comma. Then I'll just change this one to this one to 19. So let this one be 295. Then I'm going to update this one to, let me look for the name Ayobami Eyaro, right? Right. Ayobami Eyaro. I don't know whether you are a male or female, but I'm going to give you female. Right. I don't know your date of birth, but let's say you are born in 1976. Right. Then you joined the company in 1990. Right. 1990. So you're already a senior, you're already the general manager. Right. Now, so I can run this. I can run this line 32 to line 34. Make sure you highlighted it. You can see that I highlighted my own. You can see that's the line I want to. The line I want to execute, I'm going to highlight the line I want to execute. Then I click execute. So it said 2 more rows affected. So initially we have 9 rows. Now plus 2 making 11 rows now. So I can come back here. I will say select all from employee table, right? Employee table, right? Then this, right? Right. So we have 11 record there. Someone is saying, are you the one that selected the color to red? I'm not the one. When you put it in a quotation, the color changes to red. Right. Adijat Damola. So your own is not successful. So this person, love it. I call you 3 times. Your own is saying line 4. That's the reason why I enable that line. Go to that line 4. You might see something will automatically be underlined in red. That's where the problem is. It might automatically underline red. So that's where the problem is, right? Now, are we on the same page now? So do we understand how to insert into table now? Do we understand how to insert into the table? Right? See, someone is saying ascending order. Forget ascending order or descending order first now. What I want to get that, were you able to create your table successfully? Right? Forget about ascending order or descending order. We'll soon get to where with that. Okay, yes, okay. Someone say, how can I see the results? Like for you to see the results, you're going to type select. Select is one of the command we use, right? Select all. That all is going to be in asterisk, then from employee, right, from employee, then execute. Right. So I'm going to take some questions here now and insert it successfully. Right. Right. Okay, that's fine. So someone asked a question and replied the person. I don't know if you have been able to correct that the error you are getting is in line 4. Go to your line 4 and check what you type. It's either you type something incorrectly, right? Just go there and check. Someone say, why do we have Debbie? Why do we have to write that select asterisk after the insert again? Right, because I want to see what is in my table. I want to see the output of this one is this. If I don't type this select all from employee, I won't get what I inserted. I will not be able to see it. I will not be able to see. That's the essence, right? You can see now we started writing our SQL query now, right? So what does this error mean, sir? Message this line, this database already exists. You can see that your error message is English. You should understand that you have created something before and you are trying to create that thing again. That's what that error message means, right? You've created your DSA underscore DB. This is a Ruben Olaleye. You've created it before, but maybe mistakenly you are trying to run the same query again. It's giving you that error. You said, bro, you've created me before. You don't need to create me again. I'm already existing in the database. Olaleye, that is the meaning. So you don't need to go and I've told you, if I just click execute now, I'm going to get this error message that you are getting. You can see the error message too on my screen, that database this, right, has been created, right? Choose a different database name, right? So I need to, anytime I want to run a package or a line of code, I need to make sure I highlighted it. If I don't highlighted it, I will get that the same error you are getting. Ruben Olaleye, sure you get now, right? Let me know once you are able to sort that out. Line 16, this there's already an object name concept. Is it the same error message? Please, when you write a query, apart from the first one you wrote, any subsequent SQL query, make sure you highlight it like this. Even in Python, unless if you want to run everything in Python, you have to select the number of lines. So you need to highlight it. You can see that when I wanted to run select all, I say select, right? Select all from employee. So you understand? So that you don't get that error message. Someone will say, why did I insert Ayobami separately? I don't get your question. Ayobami is a first name. It's a first name, and Eyaro is the second name. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I use your name, right? Yeah, I use your name. Your first name is Ayobami, right? And then Eyaro is second name. I use your name. I don't know whether I use female for you. Hope you are female. Okay, another question, sir. Valuation of primary key. Oh, this person, Lagos Pyros driver. This error message that you just get, I was about to explain it to you. I wanted to explain it. Definitely, you're going to get the same error message. Pay attention now. I'm going to explain that error message you get now. You're going to see that error. Now, when we talk about primary key, when you create a table in the database, you cannot insert duplicates. You cannot what? You cannot insert duplicate. Look at it now. Look at this line 29 and line 20 and 31, right? Now, if I change this person from Femi to Yusuf Olaide, right? Olaide. right? You know, initially that Femi Ayodele, the ID is AB290, right? Now, I want to assign that the same ID to Yusuf Olaide. You're going to get the error message. Then another person here, Olajide Ayodeji, right? Olajide Ayodeji, right? Right. Now, if I run this now, Lagos driver, you will see your error message now. You will see it. If I run this, so you can see it. Violation of a primary key constraint, right? Cannot insert duplicate key objects. The duplicate key value. So you see it now. It now told you that this AB299, you've already inserted it somewhere before in your table. So that's the essence of the primary key. You know, when we created the primary key, when we created our table, we make sure that if you check our line 11, we've already declared start ID to be primary key. So once that is declared, it means automatically we cannot, you can't duplicate. Primary key cannot be duplicated. So you cannot insert a table, a start ID that already exists in the database. So now for me to correct the error message here, I have to come back and change the data, the start ID, this one, then peradventure this to this one. Now, if I execute again, you can see that's successful now. So try it, Lagos driver. Try it. You should be fine now. So you can see we now have 13. We now have 13. Right. So Lagos driver, let me know once you are. What does this error mean? Column parameter variable cannot find data type. Line 16, state line, 4 columns, parameter. This has to do with your data type. Which of the column? What's the column's name that's giving you this error? Right. Okay. Successful. Oh, sorry. Lagos driver. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you. Sharp guy. This person, Deborah Shegun, how do I delete another database created that contained the same data? How do I delete it? We've not gotten there. You have to leave it. You can create another one by using another name. You can create DSA2. DSA2. You can create DSA2. So how do we undo? After you cannot undo. You can only delete it, drop it, and I've not told you how to do that. So the only thing you can do if you have created it, maybe if you create a table now, the table is giving you error. Leave the table. I will show you how to delete that when we get to that delete. So what you can do is that you can create another one called employee one, right? Yeah, employee one. Okay, Emmanuel Adepojo. Okay, for my SQL, right, I will try and get it so that the next class I will show you one or two things, right? I will get it. What is the meaning of rows affected? Yes, that is the number of record inserted has been successfully affected, that you inserted successfully. That's what that message means. That's meanings of the rows affected. That's the number of record you inserted are successful or were successful. Right? Oyenuga Temiloluwa. Sir, my table was created under another database. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. So it means you have to repoint it to your DSA. If you have created your DSA database, make sure you enable it here, right? See it. Make sure that it's showing here, right? Okay. Umen Ogochukwu, does this mean that the insert command will come before select? No. You can create your table and select and use the select to see what is in the table, but then it is still empty. Then after you insert, you can also write, see, select command, you can use as many times. You can use select as many times, right? You can use it as many times, right? Okay, so we're going to stop here for today, right? I will the SQL query for today's class. I'm going to save it in a notepad. Then I will send it to admin. Admin will send it to you guys before our next class, right? I will save it in a notepad for you. Then I'll send it to you. I'm using my SQL, so it is not showing. Okay, you're a new guy. Yeah, my SQL, I will try and reset my password before next class so that I can show you one or two things in um in my SQL, right? So then one question here: what does this means? Valuation. This Agbafa Dan Toby, I've already explained it, right? When you declare a column as a primary key, even as a foreign key, you cannot insert duplicate. Definitely you get that. So there's no way in an organization that two people will be using the same staff ID. It's not possible. It's not possible. So it's because you've already declared it as a primary key. So at it being you didn't declare it as a primary key, you can insert as many, right? You can insert as many. Okay. So thank you everyone. See you in our next class. Bye.
Dear DSA students, we are so excited to be on this journey with you, and we want to say a big well done for your commitment and enthusiasm so far. Whether you have just joined or you have been learning with us over the past few weeks, we see your progress and we are rooting for you all the way. Now, we know there's been a bit of silence around the learning management system, and we sincerely apologize for that. But here's the good news. We have an update as regards the learning management system, and it is one you'll love. Some of you may have been onboarded on the previous LMS, but want to ask that you kindly disregard any previous link, platform, or communication concerning that old system. We are officially switching to a new platform that you may be familiar with, Canvas by Instructure. For those new to Canvas, don't worry. A video tutorial will be uploaded to guide you step by step on how to use the platform effectively on our YouTube channel. You will also receive an onboarding email directly from Canvas by Instructure to help you get started. Please follow the instructions in the email and input your details to begin your learning journey on the platform. We are committed to making sure your learning experience is smooth, interactive, and impactful. So please, pay close attention to the announcements coming right after this video for more details. We are so glad to have you with us. Keep going. We've got this.